Hi there folks, it's Astrid. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Sympathetic Vibrations. Just as a brief update, I wanted to let you know that I was originally planning on releasing a song today. That process got delayed again. This time it was apparently my fault because I didn't realize that SoundDrop would try to match up the text on my album cover with the actual name of the track and find a mismatch, so I had to re-upload a photo that didn't contain the text. Anyway, that's coming out as soon as I have it. So I'd also like to let you know that there's continued to be delays to Rose and Dagger Soundworks content. It's due to some current medical issues. I've been transitioning from one plan to another and having to find all new physicians and everything. I'm fine. It's just been a lot of paperwork and a lot of headache. And I've also been prioritizing music production, both for the band and for myself. I wanted to give an addendum to the previous video at this point. I missed something very obvious as far as trans representation on YouTube goes. I'll be getting into that later, but I wanted to acknowledge that up front that I was partially wrong. So, without further ado, there are spoiler warnings, by the way, in this content for I Saw the TV Glow in the Amazing Digital Circus, so if you don't want those spoiled, skip this for now. We've seen a good-sized uptick in positive trans and non-binary representation in larger media in recent years. Squid Game, Owl House, the Flash series, to name a few. All worth a watch, but none of the focus of this video. My attention has been drawn recently to a couple of recent examples which are more problematic. As a trans person, it kind of hurt to watch them on an emotional level, and yet I get where they're coming from. I've been there. So the first piece I want to talk about is a 2024 movie called I Saw the TV Glow, directed by Jane Schoenbrunn. In this movie, it follows a pair of youths, Owen and Maddie, who meet each other and bond over a television series called The Pink Opaque. This is happening in the late 90s, so technological representations of that are to be expected. But the two bond over this show. Maddie tapes it for the episodes that Owen has to miss so that he can watch them. It is a somewhat silly series, but somewhat serious, that involves two heroines, Tara and Isabel, fighting against the plots of a megalomaniacal villain called Mr. Melancholy. It gives serious old Power Rangers vibes, if we're honest. It's very silly and campy and over the top. The final episode shows Mr. Melancholy imprisoning Tara and Isabel in a pocket universe called the Midnight Realm, and then burying them alive. That's your theatrical context, if you will, television context. Years pass. Tara has disappeared. She later reappears to tell Owen she had had herself buried alive and awoke as Tara in the Pink Opaque. She knows that Owen is Isabel and urges him to do the same, which doubtless is a hard sell. But he does agree. She takes him to a football field to be buried, but in the end he pushes her away and he flees. The film ends with a middle-aged Owen working at a family entertainment center, having a panic attack at a child's birthday party. He locks himself in a bathroom and cuts open his chest with a box cutter. He smiles when he sees a TV screen inside. He then returns to work, apologizing profusely for the outburst. That hit hard. As a trans person, I wanted him to accept Tara's offer and be free. I think most watchers did, as it was almost certainly Schoenbrunn's intent. But instead we see him capitulating, towing the line, totally blocking out that part of his life, living as a hollow shadow of his true self. It's a heart-rending ending to a simple but profound story. One which could have had a happy ending but didn't. It turns a trans affirmation into a cautionary tale. I am sure you've heard of the next work I'm about to share. It really needs no introduction. It's an indie digital animation that is tromping on the likes of Disney with its viewership. I'm talking about, of course, The Amazing Digital Circus. The premise of this show, for the two of you who are not initiated, in the mid-90s, by the way, there is a significant time period overlap between these two pieces that, as far as I can tell, is coincidental, but it's fascinating. In any case, a company called CNA makes an AI breakthrough. While their first iteration is unstable, the second, an entity known as Kane, exceeds their expectations. Here's where things go a little weird. They start stealing people's consciousnesses and uploading them into the program world, which is under the control of Kane. At first by putting them in pods, and then afterwards by picking up a headset from the now abandoned CNA facility. Yes, the power was left on because reasons. The program itself is a colorful, idealized world where Kane takes the form of a ringmaster with giant eyes and dentures for a head, and each of the currently 6 consciousnesses takes on a colorful, cartoonish form. Needless to say, they are not happy with the arrangement. Kane takes it on himself to keep the humans entertained with a series of adventures, but due to his poor understanding of humanity, the adventures are often more like punishments. I could go into depth about each of the characters and their motivations, but that's outside the scope of this video. Suffice to say, I believe each of the humans to be an expression of part of the creator's identity. Instead, I'm going to focus on Jax. Jax is a tall, purple, stylized rabbit, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, is a sadistic asshole. He takes every opportunity to insult, imperil, or physically injure the other cast members. He's killed Ragatha, insofar as they can be killed, at least twice. And then, in the final episode, Jax abstracts. That is, he loses control and turns into a huge black aggressive monster covered in multicolored eyes. The creator has confirmed this as an allegory for offing oneself, as YouTube would have me phrase it. After this, Pomni, another main character, makes contact and enters what's left of Jax's shattered consciousness. It's a very interesting sequence of events, which again, I don't have time to fully explore in this video. Through Pomni's eyes, we find out he's trans. Kind of. It's very heavily implied, though I as a trans woman managed to misread it on my first watch. Make of that what you will. Specifically, Jax is a trans woman and in the closet. There were a close few, her mother, and a now abstracted cast member named Ribbit, in whom she confided her secret, but in shame pushed them away. She developed her abrasive personality as a coping mechanism to prevent others from getting close and discovering her shameful secret. The show ends on a bittersweet note, with the remaining cast members finding out about their lives in the real world, as they were in fact digital brain scans, and mourning the loss of Jax. Though Jax isn't there for it, we discover that her real-life counterpart is thriving, and that she frequents a bar owned by Zubal's analog, Zubal being the non-binary member of the cast. From this we can glean that there's some hope for self-acceptance and reconciliation, even if it's too late for his digital clone. Now, these portrayals seem to cast trans people in a negative light, as cowards and sociopaths. The fact that they both end in tragedy is discouraging on a surface level. At this point, I should reveal that Gooseworks, the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, and Schoenbroom, the creator of I Saw the TV Glow, are themselves trans. On a surface level, you could blame these two creators for bad trans representation, and it's tempting to dismiss it as that. It's certainly discouraging for one in my position to look at these characters and see myself in the mirror, all my ugly faults and bad decisions out on full display. It hurts as a trans person because I identify with it. Owen and Jax were me for decades in my life, always flirting with the true reality but never accepting it, and taking this internalized transphobia out on those around me. I think holding up that mirror is a piece of artistic genius. Above all, these portrayals seem real, authentic. They don't idealize, they don't sugarcoat. For many of us, this is our lived experience. Perhaps the discomfort comes from it being on display for everyone to see. And yet, we need that. It is precisely that marginalization, and in many cases oppression, of the gender nonconforming that puts us in that position in the first place. They are, in fact, mirrors in which everyone can see their own ugly reflection. I can't say for certain this was the artist's intent, obviously. I do know Gooseworks specifically calls out Jax as her favorite Digital Circus character, and the one she sees the most of herself in kind of a joking, self-deprecating way, but one can see the weight of the words nonetheless. I believe each of the characters, or at least the humans, represents some part of her own psyche, and in this case Jax would represent the self-hating portion, the one who has internalized the transphobia she's faced with everywhere, who is ashamed, and as a result lashes out to keep others at arm's length. In any case, both I Saw the TV Glow and The Amazing Digital Circus have left me with a great deal to reflect on, and I see that as an indicator of artwork worth experiencing the good, the bad, and the ugly of. Till next time, This has been Astrid Lenore. Stay beautiful.